So it's been a while since I've done this, and by this I mean one of the talkie videos, and also like, you know, a digital art piece, and also, you know, a real-time video, which is what this is. I'm not talking as I'm doing it. I've done that before, and it is panic-inducing. I'll probably do it again because I've been mulling live streaming for a long time, and I just have not gotten my nerve together. But yeah, no, I look forward to that happening like 8 months from now. That's about the timeline, probably. Yeah. So this is just a little doodle, but I'm doing it up because I really wanted to do something. I wanted to make something. I felt the need, but also I'm busy tomorrow, so it couldn't be too serious. Which is why I'm kind of working with a large kind of fuzzier brush. I find that's really beneficial to like blocking in things, and just kind of getting things presentable in a quick way. So that's kind of the logic behind that choice, that it really makes you like not get too fussy with details, because I did not actually lower the size of this brush like at any point, although I did kind of erase away to make it look thinner. But I wanted to kind of force myself to like not be too precious, because I could have been here for hours and I'm busy tomorrow. And I knew I would have to edit it afterwards and all that, because I hate to sit on footage. It makes me anxious. To be like, oh, I have to be doing something with that, but I'm not yet. So you probably caught it earlier. I said it pretty quick, but this is a live, like, not live recording, like a 1-to-1 speed. It's not sped up, it's real time. Which I like to do every once in a while, because when you just look at speed paints, sometimes you feel really insecure. You know, you're just like, wow, it seems like it came together. Because not even just because it goes faster, but also because when it goes faster, you don't notice as many of the little mistakes, because usually they correct it pretty fast. You know, you put a line somewhere and you're like, oh, I hate that, and you undo it immediately, or you erase the part you don't like. And when you speed it up like 6-10 times, sometimes you don't even see that. Like, there'll just be like a little jitter, and then you're like, oh, but they did it perfect on the first time, and they didn't. You missed the first time. The first time was a millisecond, and they hid it from view. So I like real-time videos just because I like being able to like kind of see when I'm hesitating or when someone else is hesitating. You know, what line did they do immediately afterwards, and what one did they kind of wait and sit on for a bit before they went for it. I feel like it's more useful to kind of like gauging the mental state, I guess. You know, how with it are they at that moment. So yeah, there I am, erasing it out to get more definition without actually lowering the size. Although my eraser for most of this was a bit smaller than my brush. But I'm mostly doing it max size. Just because if we get in the weeds here, we'll never get out. I have to wake up in the morning. Can't do that. I already procrastinated way too late because I was like, do I really want to be doing this? And the answer was yes. So I already got a late start. I have to be quick. Yeah. So although I've been talking about how much I love real-time videos, I don't make a lot of them. It's been a while. And you know, some of it has to do with I usually take a lot longer than this. Or I'm doing like a sketch physically, and then there's a lot of background noise. And it feels weird to have completely silent, you know, real-time physical drawing, I guess. I don't know why. It's because it's very tactile, and this is just like on a screen, I guess, to me. But I do remember I think it was the first time I did a real-time video on this channel. And my mom just like noticed the time and just like looked at me, and she was like, I don't have time for that. I'll watch it later. It was so jarring that, you know, my very supportive mother was like, no, you're wasting my time. But I don't think 22, 23 minutes, that's not for everyone, but I don't think that's insulting to your time. Yeah, it's getting there, because it's not a very, you know, busy piece, but, you know, I like when you can see how I like zoom out and zoom in when I don't know what I'm doing, without it being like seizure inducing. I like that about real time or like mildly sped up videos, because that's what I do whenever I'm like, I don't know if that looks good. I zoom out, look at the whole thing, and then I zoom back in and I'm like, that looked terrible, it's wrong. Which is kind of like an art advice that you can take into account, like whether you're doing digital or traditional. Like with traditional, you can literally like take a few steps away, and make it so that like the piece does not take up your whole view. So you go from like only a section of the piece taking up your entire view to even the whole piece just being a small part of your vision. You tend to be able to get, you know, catch more structural issues that way, and like, you know, things looking lopsided or goofy. Because like when you're doing little tiny details, sometimes you can get lost in the weeds a little bit and you're just stuck there. I think I said that earlier. I think I'm repeating myself, honestly. But, you know, taking a step back or zooming out, whatever it is, it really helps with that. Like I also tend to turn it on different angles and with the physical iPad and also the kind of the canvas itself, because just it's nice to just get a different view on it. I don't tend to flip mine. That's the traditional, oh, you flip it. They have buttons in there to do that so that you see it sideways, like the other way, and then you can like notice if it's weirdly lumpy because you look at it with new eyes. I don't really do that. I think it's because I worked for so long traditionally that I just don't think about it. But that's kind of my version of it. It's just like moving the canvas around, moving the iPad around, just being like, I don't know about this. It seems wrong to me. Is it right? It's not right. You know, so there's a million different ways to do the same thing, and I at least never feel like I'm doing it the right way, and they're all right. There's no righter way to do it than just like anything that works, you know? But still I feel like I'm doing it wrong. I mean, I'm especially doing it wrong when I'm doing that and then I'm speeding it up too much, that I have to like edit out the zoom in and zoom out. Like I'll tend to leave one, but sometimes when I'm really struggling, I'll do it like 3 or 4 times right in a row. You know, zoom in, do one stroke, zoom out, look at it, zoom in, do another stroke, zoom out. And that is bad for people with eyes if you speed it up like 10 times. It's just bad. No one should have to see that. So I do tend to edit the recurring ones out, even though, you know, my stated ethos of I like it when you can see the imperfections, but you have to be able to see. I want you to all survive the video, so I can't show it all, and also have it, you know, go quickly and well, which is part of why I want to do this every once in a while. And also because I like for the talking ones to be longer than the music ones, just because they're meant to be more instructive, which is why we're talking about it, going over the steps I went sometimes. Usually getting distracted, but sometimes. And so giving it a longer run time, letting it kind of slow, letting you see more of it is part of that. But then I was like, it's only 22 minutes. Like, I guess I could double it and it'd be like 11. But like at that point, it misses the magic of being real time. And I think that real time videos are occasionally, in moderation, magical. This one's out to you, Mom. I'm sorry I'm wasting your time this week. She's been nagging me to post more videos, so like she got what she asked for. It was a monkey paw scenario. Yeah, so here I'm getting started on her head wrap thing. I was going for like a vaguely vintage, like early 1900s vibe, which is a little more than vintage, but you know, it could also be a little bit later than that. But just like, I don't know, just vaguely, I really just feel like vintage is the word. Like, it's not specific to any time, but it does not look firmly modern. Like, it looks modern in the way that some people, you know, a lot of people are kind of reviving various looks and things. It's that kind of modern. So I was going with this kind of like feathery short hair around like a head wrap or I guess a turban, like in the way that, you know, fashion people call things that aren't things, you know, like they say turban when it's not really like a proper turban, and they say kimono when it's just like a wrap, even though it's not a kimono. Like, you know, that bothers me. But it's that sense of turban. Yeah, the fashion sense. But I was going for this very layered, fluffy look because I felt it suited the brushes I was using is one of it. Also, I wanted to get practice like hairlines. I tend to never know what to do with hairlines because I'm like, I don't know. I never think about like, are you side parted? Are you front, middle? What are you? And then I get there and I panic, and then it always looks bad. I default to a few, and I don't like them. So I wanted this kind of like fluffy up from the root look, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be a short hair overall or long hair, but I knew I wanted that kind of like falling over look, because honestly I've been reading a lot of manhwa recently, and they got that going on. And I just thought it was nice. It worked. I also liked it with this head angle, like how it kind of like forms the outside edge and then goes back, but also that when it's going back, it's actually going towards us. You know, I thought it was interesting, and so I'm just making her mane a little messier. Yeah, because I didn't want it to look too put together, I guess. I'm also about to make a pretty drastic change to her face, and it's gonna be real subtle, but you know, it's a subtle change, but it really, really affects how it feels. I just kind of thinned that line there, and it, you know, in turn thinned kind of her face, and I brought out her eye a little bit so it's less sunken. I feel like that really kind of changed her cheek structure a lot. I'm gonna also change the eyes a little bit, and the mouth gets a do-over at the end. Spoilers, I guess, but the nose stays the same. That's the final nose. So I hope you like it. I might actually add a little bit more shadow. I'm not sure, but I don't erase it out like I do other features a lot. Because like her original face was kind of inspired by like Edwardian like illustrations. Like they had this like idea of beauty which has like a small nose and small mouth and like a big round eyes and this like kind of soft round face. Really not Edwardian, maybe like late Victorian more, because Edwardian you also start getting like Gibson girl stuff, which is more structured. But yeah, probably late Victorian. Just like the softness that they liked. Because I go through phases where I'm like, I want everyone to be soft and cuddly and a little pudgy. And then I'm like, I want to spend hours drawing cheekbones, so I'm sorry you don't have cheeks anymore. You just have bone. I've been both places. And I ended up going to the middle this time, which is, I guess it's a nice place to be. I'm not sure. But I'm kind of changing her eye shape fixing it because I messed it up and I didn't notice for a while. So I couldn't just like click the undo button, which is always tragic. When you're like feeling good about yourself and you're like, oh, I was doing so great, and then you realize you messed up a long time ago and you just haven't noticed yet. But it worked out. It was fixable. Honestly, I figured I'd probably stop talking at some point because I didn't think I had that much to say. But I've made it so far through the video that I'm kind of following through on stubbornness a little bit. But you can see I'm really kind of just getting to the endless tweaking phase where I just like look at things, make slight changes, and I'm about to just blow everything up with the mouth. So there are fully 3 versions of the mouth, and most of this was done in one session, but then there were 2 really short sessions, like 5 and then 10 minutes after I thought I finished, because I did the mouth and I sat on it and I was like, actually I think the first mouth was better, but I couldn't undo to it, and I also kind of didn't like the first mouth anyway, so there is a third mouth. This is not the final mouth. Mouths bother, like I have a lot of trouble with mouths, I guess, especially like with 3/4 view. I'm never good at getting them to match the same way, because it's the direction. It's just her face was more turned than I felt her mouth looked, which always just looks terrible to me. I notice it like as soon as I'm done drawing. I'm just like, oh my god, it looks like I just like Mr. Potato Headed, or I guess Mrs. Potato Headed, like her mouth on her and it does not fit. I just like shoved it on there. It's a major pet peeve of me in my own art that sometimes I feel like I don't get the mouth right. So yeah, there are things that I feel like I'm kind of better at than others, definitely. What am I even doing right now? I'm shading. Okay, I got a little lost in the weeds there. I'm kind of erasing out and making sure her hair looks delightfully messy. Clean enough that you know what's going on, but messy enough that you know it's exciting. That's the dream. So. We're definitely to the minor changes phase, where if you skip ahead to the end, you'll find that it looks different and hopefully better, but it's kind of hard to notice as it's happening at this point. Although I do think I'm gonna change the eyes pretty substantially right now. And by substantially I mean I lowered the bottom lid on the far eye, because the far eye is meant to be smaller, but it's meant to be horizontally smaller and like vertically the same size, and it's really easy to mess that up and just make it smaller overall, and that does not look right. So I caught myself doing that finally. I kind of changed around where she was looking a little bit. I kind of adjusted the iris, and here I am being like, okay, I think that's good, I think that's fine, and then here's the changeover. When I come back a little bit later, I'm like, oh my god, I hate that mouth. I hate it. It's terrible. It's probably not that. It's not really that bad. But I hate it. So I came back, started filming again everything, and I was just like, what do I do with the mouth? I don't like the mouth. Yeah. So I was thinking I can just tweak the mouth. I can just tweak it a little bit. I basically end up redoing the thing. I don't entirely erase it. So technically I was still just making edits, just making little tiny changes, like drawing the whole thing over again. That's kind of the benefit of digital. It's a lot more plastic. Your past mistakes don't have to haunt you to your future successes the way the way an oil painting does. Because like, yeah, when oil paint, it's more forgiving than like watercolor because you can paint over it. But like 500 years later, people are doing this. They just X-ray paintings, and they're like, there's an entire different painting, and I guess they hated it. I'm like, yeah, and now we're all looking at it. That'd be kind of miserable if there was the same kind of record and you just saw all the mouths I hated. Yeah. I say that, but I do oil paint. And I say I do, and I mean I haven't in a long time, but I keep wanting to get back to it. That's part of why I've been thinking about streaming, because I think that would be a nightmare to like edit into a digestible video format. I think it would be really hard, and it wouldn't be like good. Like there's a different level of polish expected in a live stream than a finished posted video with like video quality and framing and stuff like that. And I just feel like it might work out better for me. Because I don't know what approach I would take to edit it into like a not crazy amount of time. Because oil painting is slow. It's what it is. It's why I like it. I hate painting like skin with like acrylic, because it dries slow enough that you can't just go quickly with it. You can't just like slapdash and then do another layer on top immediately. It forces you to slow a little bit down, but you can't go slow enough for you to like blend it well, in my experience. I know people do amazing with things with acrylic, but I'm slow. Especially when I get to like details. So I can't with skin with that. I do like acrylic for like more abstract things, because it has less, oil paint, when you mess it up, it really gets messed up, and acrylic is a little more forgiving. We're about to hit the changeover to the third time where I came back and I was just like, oh my god, I put it like that little dark fleck in her hair on accident. I hadn't caught it, and I was like, could I leave it? It kind of looks like it didn't. It bothered me so much. So we're almost done. And by that, I mean, I think we're done. It's about to transition, so hope you, I guess, learned something from this. Bye.